On today's video, I'm going to show you how to do some basic color testing, just in case there's anybody out there that wanted to get started in paint or Plastidip or AutoFlex. This will kind of explain some terms, and this might answer some of those questions that you might think are too stupid to ask. Maybe not, I don't know. So first thing you want to do is get everything out of your garage that's going to get overspray in it, so move your Skyline or Skyline equivalent. Let's look at some of the materials we're going to need. We are going to need some pigments, some cups. I got a lot of mixing cups. These were on Amazon for pretty cheap. They came with a couple lids too. Lids aren't really important. You're probably going to wind up pouring a lot of this stuff out, unless you have like a bucket that you just throw your waste in. Also some mixing sticks. These come in handy so you don't have to clean off your mixing wand every 5 minutes. You just kind of stir everything up in your little cup. And you can do small samples so you can change all your mixing ratios. These are 16-ounce cups. Most pigments are going to call for 50 grams for a gallon, and most samples come in 5-gram increments. So you want to do 1/10 of a gallon, which is going to be 12.8 ounces. And if you want to save material, you don't even necessarily have to do 12 full ounces. Like if you want to pinch off half the bag and do like 2.5 grams, you can just kind of do 6 ounces instead. And that's probably what I'm going to do. These are speed shapes. These are plastic. They're kind of thin. You don't want to like heat these up or anything like with a heat gun if you're trying to dry things quick, because they will melt. Trust me, I've done it before. You can get these in black, you can get them in white, and also Dip Your Car has them in clear plastic. It's kind of like a shinier plastic if you want to test out gloss. This is one of the clear plastic ones from Dip Your Car. I'm going to spray everything on the inside so the outside just stays clear. It's almost like a clear coat that you spray into. So with this being clear, you want to spray your pearl coats or color coats and then put a black base or white base, whatever base you want to do last, and then you get the gloss effect. So if you're doing gloss paint or AutoFlex, that gives you a better idea of what it'll look like. You can order these black ones off of eBay. These were 20 for I think 20 some dollars. You can also get them at dipyourcar.com. Amazon has these too, but I don't know, eBay was cheaper. You can order different pigments from different places. There's Dip Your Car, they have a bunch of stuff. Pearls and Pigments was a company that I'm not even sure is around anymore. There's KP Pigments up in Jersey, who I use a lot. A lot of their pigments are really nice and cover really well. I did use a pink that faded really bad one time. And there's also Did Spade. And I ordered a couple through Did Spade just to try something new. I haven't used their pigments very often. I did do a customer car that had a little bit of Did Spade holographic, which looked pretty awesome. These are a couple different colors in 5-gram increments. I did a halogen blue and a gold and a silver. This is titanium frost. So also I did a couple flakes. This is a chrome flake. You can get these in different sizes through Did Spade, which is really nice because you can get these bigger, smaller. Well, it's 0.004. This is kind of a smaller flake. This is probably going to blend pretty well in a mixture. You might have to shake the mixture a lot with this because it does seem pretty heavy for using it as like a pigment. But you can see the difference on an actual pearl versus a flake. We might mix these two together just to see what happens. And then this I got just to see what it looked like. I was thinking about mixing these two for a color. The flake is really big on this. This is a 0.015 flake. This is so big that you probably don't even want to filter this when you get it into your gun. You don't want to run any kind of filter because it's actually going to filter this out because it's so big. Thinking about mixing these two, maybe. I don't know. Well, we're going to mess around a little bit. Since I've been doing this for a while, I do have a lot of leftover colors. Some of them are from customers. Some of them are from me. Like this color. This is on the Mustang. This is Kyle's old color. This is ZTR, which is on the Skyline. And there's a couple other colors just laying around. So we're going to throw some of those on speed shapes too, just to have them. You can keep these around for a while. You want to keep them in your showroom for a representation of what your colors look like. There's also holes on them so you can screw them to the wall, either for display purposes or for just being able to spray them. Sometimes you just want to have them hanging up because if your gun's running 30 PSI, they're going to blow around. They're really light. Even though my garage is absolutely filthy, I'm going to put something down that way I don't get a bunch of color on the walls and on the floor. Also, putting something down is going to protect all your speed shapes from dust. You can kind of elevate everything too if you want. That way, like, you don't get any dust on your speed shapes. shapes. This is going to be our table. This is Masonite. Masonite's kind of like a glorified cardboard almost. I had this from when we were trying to move the Z. It's not really thick enough to roll a chassis on, so it kind of broke in a bunch of spots. And it's a little dirty because it's been laying around, but it's going to work for what we have. Supporting the Masonite is our wheel stands, which I made in another video. If you would like to watch that, it's a couple videos back, and they're really handy, and they will support a whole car despite what all you YouTube people keep saying. Seems like every restoration shop and performance shop that I've ever been into has a couple of these laying around in the corner or has a car laying on it, so they will support a car, and they haven't broke yet, and I've put a couple cars on them, so whatever. Also, a quick note, you do not necessarily need these speed shapes. Like I said, they're sometimes expensive, and if you don't have money, you can just spray anything, really. This is just the stool that was laying around. This is overspray from Amanda's car, which I also did a video on. If you go a couple videos back, you'll find that video, and you can see that it works. I mean, this was a black base. It gives you a good idea what the color is. Also, a couple years ago when I did the first Chameleon, I did samples on an actual model car of a 2011 Mustang, so that came in handy. It was like a 1/18th scale. So if you have a model car, you can spray that too. Next, you want to get your gun set up ready. This is from the Spray Source. They make a couple different models. This one is the Eco HSE. It's a really nice gun for Spray Wrap Pro. It flows really well. Seems like it atomizes everything pretty well. I've had this thing for a while and done a bunch of different jobs with it. I really like it. So thank you, the Spray Source, for making good stuff. That is not a sponsored recommendation at all. Also use this gun for my gloss. This is their nice Pro HSE. This is really nice for autoflex. Really like this gun. It's all black, got a really nice finish. Looks pretty baller. Got that nice gold. I really like this gun too. So with Autoflex and Spray Wrap Pro, you're going to want to use a compressor setup. This is a 60 gallon from Home Depot. It seems to do the job very well. I have a couple different filters that I run on it. I really need to pipe this thing out better, but whatever, don't pay any attention to that. If you're doing everything in Plastidip, you just need an HVLP sprayer. You can buy these at Home Depot or Lowe's. This one is a Graco, I believe. Dip Your Car makes their own model, which is a little bit better. You get your turbine set up, big hose. You don't have to worry about condensation with that kind of setup. You'll get a gun with it that looks like this if you buy like a Graco or something. The Dip Your Car gun is kind of the same design. They say that theirs is better and everything, but you can kind of see that this one and this one has like that same trigger, the same adjuster. I guess this is a little different. It does have the metal there, so that is upgraded. As for flow, I don't have any side-by-side testing of these, but you can see that they're almost the same gun between the Graco and the Dip Your Car one. I'm sure that there's the test somewhere. I don't know, I'm not gonna test them. I really don't use this setup at all. I don't even know where my Dip Your Car turbine is. I used it for a while. It seemed to be pretty nice. I moved up to a 5-stage turbine. If anybody wants them, you can come by and get them. Even though we have a bunch of leftover colors, we're gonna do these first because it's late and I have to go to my day job tomorrow morning, which sucks. Everybody subscribe and like this video and watch all my other videos so I can quit my day job and just work on cars and do stupid stuff all day. Also come to me for all your Autoflex needs, like if you want a car sprayed, because I could use the money for other projects and stuff too. But yeah, anyway, enough about me. How's your day going? I think we're gonna start with, I don't know which one to do. Which one are you guys thinking? I think I want to do this one first because the color, it really stands out. I'm really hoping that it's super pearly. Yeah, I think we want to do this one first. When you get a gallon of material, you want to shake it up a bit just because it has different solvents in it, and you want to make sure everything's pretty mixed up before you even throw anything in it. Plus, you don't have to actually use a mixer if you just do this. I guess paint shops have pneumatic versions that do this. Another quick note, make sure that your garage is very well ventilated. Mine is just kind of open, so it's ventilated. Also, you need to wear a respirator. I usually wear these respirators. This is 3M 6001. You can get these cartridges off of Amazon pretty cheap. You can just like buy those and then keep your actual mask part. Even the whole setup you can buy off of Amazon for pretty cheap, and I think it's actually primed too, so you can get it in a day. And then it also comes with an extra set of these pre-filters, so you can actually change these out before you change out the wet filters. Also, when you have these, you don't want to leave them out. You want to put these in a baggie or something, because I guess they will dry out. It's I guess a semi-wet filter, so make sure that you put these in a baggie when you're not using this, and you can get a little more life out of your respirator. Another thing to note that might be kind of basic, but I'm showing it anyway because there are no stupid questions. This is going to be your regulator, and you can also get gun filters. I use this kind of stuff on all my AutoFlex stuff because you want to have an actual filter on the gun too. You want to get the air as clean as possible, and the regulator is kind of a cheap one. I forgot where this one came from, but anyway, it works. You want to run some sort of regulator at the gun. What you want to shoot is gun pressure, and you need a regulator at the gun, so always run one of these too. Since we are doing very small batch testing, I think I'm only going to try to do the 2.5 grams for 6 ounce kind of thing, because I don't want to waste a lot of material on this. I'm going to do 2 different speed shapes. I might want to do 1 gloss and might want to leave 1 matte. Like I said before, you don't necessarily need to be super accurate if you're just trying to get a good idea of what a color looks like. I'm going to get as close to 6 ounces as we can, and then we're just going to pinch off half of the bag. As you can see, 6 ounces is a pretty good amount of material. You don't want to use all your material for testing because this stuff is pretty expensive. Even regular PDS spray is now like $60 some a gallon. Since it's 6 ounces instead of 12, we're just going to use half a bag. So kind of pinch off half. Tap your bag so some of the powder kind of goes to the bottom. A lot of it's going to stick to the sides. I can see glitter on my hands already. That might be for something else. I don't know. From some strippers or something. Just pinch half the bag. Next, grab one of your sticks. Using these cheap little sticks means that you won't have to clean off your mixer every 5 minutes. Also, when you have the sticks, it gives you a good idea what something looks like when it's laid out. You can see that this blue is nice and pearly. I really like how this is looking. Yeah, I have high hopes for this color. Not saying I'm gonna put it on my car, but I just think it's gonna look awesome. I'd recommend you mix this right before you put it in your gun. That way you keep the pearl kind of suspended. Certain pearls and flakes will actually sink to the bottom relatively quick. You don't want that to happen. And you can clean and reuse these cups, especially if you're using Plastidip. It's pretty easy to clean up. If you put a lid on it, it's not going to dry out as fast. These aren't super airtight, so I wouldn't recommend letting this sit overnight or anything. There's another pretty basic thing that might be one of those questions that's kind of silly for a lot of people, but there's people out there that might want to know this. Most of your air hoses are going to have this inlet, and most of your air tools and guns are going to have this kind of inlet on the gun. This just pops right in. Sometimes you got to pull this collar back, and just kind of pops right in. Next, adjust your gun pressure. This is Spray Wrap Pro. You want to keep it about Spray Wrap Pro. You want to keep about 20 psi. Give it like a squirt just to purge the gun, and make sure you have flow and everything. Also, check your pressure while spraying. Sometimes it'll go up and down. As you can see, that kind of went down with a little bit of viscosity flowing through the gun. So we're about where we want to be. Let's spray something. The first coat you want to do pretty light, that way the material has something to stick to. You want to make sure that that dries, and then you can spray a little bit wetter on your second coat. It's been a few minutes and it's really hot today, so let's do a second coat. Since I'm digging this blue a lot on this second coat, I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 more so I can throw that flake in with it. And we'll see how that looks, because this blue is pretty nice. I really like this. This would make a really nice color for something. Not necessarily my Mustang, but it could be a customer's car. It could be Skyline, you know, never know. Never know what it could be. Typically with flakes, you don't want to add as much material, but we're gonna go heavy with our test samples because, like I said, testing, that's half the fun. Day number 2 of testing, and it is raining its butt off. You can see that this blue turned out great. I really like this color a lot. This is without the flake, and then these have flake sprayed on top of the blue and in the blue. I really don't like the flake that much. Might be a cool effect in the sun. Some people might like it. This one's definitely not for me. It just kind of makes it look dirty. Sit in the sun, it probably looks really nice and reflective, but I don't know, just doesn't look right to me. But the blue in general is really nice. I really dig it. So the next color I'm gonna try is gonna be the silver. And I might actually throw in the chrome flakes with that, just because. This color turned out really nice. I really like this one too. It's nice and pearly. This is, I think, 5 coats. The coverage was really heavy. Turned out pretty awesome. I probably could have did one less coat, but whatever, I had the material. And these are gonna be with that chrome micro flake in it. Looks like a subtle effect so far. Makes it a little more pearly. So as you're going through these, you might want to take a Sharpie and just mark the underside of them. If you have black speed shapes, you might want to use a silver Sharpie. And when you have a silver Sharpie, you can go ahead and say, this is blue with flake with flake. And you'll pretty much know what it is as long as you're testing just one blue. I really like this titanium frost. Frost. Usually nothing's going to get sprayed under here, and that's still a little wet. One of the most tedious parts of doing this whole test thing is cleaning your gun. So what you want to do is take your leftover material, unless you're saving it or something, just dump it. You want to dispose of all this properly. You want to wipe out the material with a towel. And wipe all this out with some like cheap blue paper towels, these ones that you find at like Walmart and stuff. You gotta wipe all the material out of there. Your hands are probably going to get really dirty doing all this. So wear a glove. Because I'm trying to record video and clean at the same time, I'm not wearing a glove. You should also continue to wear your respirator when you're doing this too, because this stuff, it's not good to breathe in. So now you want to take some thinner. Xylene or VMMP is going to work for this pretty well. If you're doing this in paint, you're going to want to use acetone or lacquer thinner. Go ahead and put a little bit of thinner in the cup. Just a little bit for now. Take that first squirt, usually I squirt it right into a rag, just to purge the main little pathway, get all that color out of there. Sometimes you can use that thinner to clean the top of the lid for the gun. Then take a cup, go ahead and spray that thinner out into the cup. Run it all the way through, pour it back into the gun, spray it back into the cup. Do this a couple times and dispose of it properly once everything's cleaned up. Take a little bit more thinner, clean your gun out, like the actual hopper part of the gun. Clean the lid for the gun. There's usually like a little purge hole on the top of the gun. That's this hole right here. You want to clean that out pretty thoroughly too. And squirt thinner in there. Just keep dumping it in the cup, thinning everything out. Then wipe everything dry. You should be pretty clean and pretty good to go. Like I said, don't dump any of this stuff where it's going to hurt animals, especially dogs, because dogs are awesome. The next color that we have in store is going to be the Empire Gold from Dead Spade. It's a really nice looking gold, kind of lighter than a lot of golds. You can see how this looks, because I did gold on Leo's car a couple years ago, and I really dug it, so I'm going to do this gold too. See how it turns out. Pretty cool looking gold. I really like it. Little brown undertones. It's probably gonna look pretty wild sprayed out. One of the funnest parts about mixing your own colors is that you can just add stuff together and see what happens. This is the blue and the silver. I had some left over, so we're gonna spray it and see what it looks like. Did a lot of different colors last night. Didn't record all of it because it's kind of a redundant process, but we have a lot of stuff to play with now. We did a couple different hyper shifts. These are ones that I've had laying around from customer cars. This is Bobby666 on Instagram. This is Leo's color. That color over there by my coffee, that was Kyle's old color. So I have a couple of these laying around now. I'm really happy with how this experiment turned out. I might line them up real quick and do some pictures and some beauty shots and that kind of stuff. Just because this is a lot of work, but there's a lot of them now. This is green interference over silver. This is the silver. This is silver and blue. This was gold. This was something that Amanda mixed up. This is copper. This is CX. This is Tyne green. This was rare jade. This was blue. A little bit of flake. This was ZTN. This was ZTX. This is Underground Punisher. And this is just a basic black speed shape, just for contrast. So many pretty colors.